Hey guys, welcome back to this edition of Ask North Arrow. With me as always is Casey, I'm Levi, and our question this week came from an athlete that said, when I'm looking at my training calendar, my runs are always scheduled around a distance. And she got to thinking, is there a difference between running for a distance and running for time?
Oh, okay.
And I guess she's just a runner. I guess this could be applied to biking or swimming as well. But
Yeah.
let's talk about running first. So, is there a difference?
Yeah, I think you probably. So I personally like to schedule things based off of time
Okay.
and not distance. And I'm sure somebody else out there that's a coach watching this would say, "Well, it's better to do distance
Sure.
instead of time." The reason that I base things off of time is I think that it makes it makes each day that you're training fitting your daily need better.
Okay.
And so what I mean by that is maybe you didn't get the best sleep the night before, or maybe you're not super hydrated, or you didn't eat the best meals, or you have done something out of the 100 things that can make a run
Yeah,
go
there's
good
so
or
many
bad.
variables.
And so say I set you up for the day and I say, Levi, you got to run 6 miles today. You've got to go run those 6 miles. So if you're feeling really sluggish and blah,
Right.
that 6 miles might take you longer than normal. Or the other thing that I see happen a lot is people go, I'm kind of in a hurry, or I just want to get this run done, and then they speed up.
They rush up.
And then they don't run in the heart rate zone that they're supposed to be running in, or run too fast so that they can speed it up.
Okay.
And so when I schedule by time, if you're just feeling sluggish for the day, you've got to run, you got to run 45 minutes. And, if you get 3.5 miles in that time, or 5.5 miles in that time, or
Yeah.
whatever, it doesn't really matter because it's kind of basing everything on time on your feet.
Okay.
That particularly works well in Michigan, I find, for, say, like your long runs, especially during the winter. So say that you're training for a spring marathon and you have a 15-mile long run, and or say it was based on distance and you had to run 15 miles, or you've got to run, whatever, 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know if those two things go together that I just said, but if you go out and there's 4 inches of fresh snow on the day you need to do your long run, that 15 miles could take you, say the previous week you were running 14 miles and now you're running 15 miles, and maybe that would normally take you 9 extra minutes for your long run that weekend.
And snow.
You throw in 4, 5, 6 inches. I mean, it's Michigan. I've done long runs in 10 inches of, it's coming down, it's a blizzard. That could take you,
Considerably
25 minutes longer.
Right.
And so then when you look at your time on feet week over week for something like your long run,
Yep.
I only like to try to, it depends on the athlete, but some people it's 7 or 8 minutes at a time. Some people it's maybe 12 or 13 minutes. It depends. But that's a big jump to go all the way to 25 or 30 minutes longer.
Right.
And so I just found if it's based on time, and you've got something crazy going on when you go to do your run, maybe it's less mileage than the week before, but it's still that 10 minutes longer in terms of time on your feet.
Right.
Getting ready for the race.
Right.
And same goes for like riding your bike.
Same principles apply.
Same principles apply. So, when you base things, on time, I just feel like you're basing it on the amount of time that you're going to spend total getting ready, and not basing it off of one ride and saying, there we go,
Sure.
I did my longer distance, when it might not be what you need the effort you need to put in that
Right.
day. So when we're basing it on time, we can look at a cumulative amount of time spent preparing for a race.
That makes
And
sense.
I think that that's a better way to look at it.
Yeah.
And again, there's, 1,000 ways to skin this
Yeah.
cat when it comes to getting ready for a race. I've seen some pretty, what I would call unorthodox things work really well for people.
Yeah.
But that's, I like the
That's your rule of thumb.
That's my rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Is it's all going to be time in heart rate zone.
And that's the key. Being in those heart rate zones.
It's being in those heart rate zones. Yep. And then when we don't have distances involved, we can just it makes training a little less stressful too.
Yeah.
It's like I got a 60-minute run. I'm gonna go run, and if you feel sluggish that day, then
Right.
okay, you
Right.
stayed in your heart rate zone. You ran your 60 minutes, and maybe next week that same run, you'll feel great. and you run a little bit further during
Right.
the same run. So
And I come from the camp where unless I'm running with Casey or somebody else and I'm just running your pace and your distance and your time or whatever, I generally am running just for fitness or biking for fitness. So I know that if I do 45 minutes on the bike, I'm gonna burn between 400 and 450 calories. Same with my run. Depending on the distance I'm doing and the pace I'm doing, I know from experience how many calories I'm gonna burn, and that's what I'm doing it for weight maintenance and,
Yeah.
and staying fit.
yeah,
And so that's just coming from the other side of the coin. I typically I know this distance, and so I just plan my day around that to
yeah.
get those calories burned. So
Yeah, and when you're just doing things for fitness, you can mix it up a little bit
Yeah.
more, or not be quite so regimented and scheduled. And you can say, I'm gonna eat pizza tonight, so I'll run a few extra miles, so I've got some extra calories or something like that.
Yep.
Very different than when you're week over week trying to accumulate towards a finished goal, which
right,
that makes me think of another great example with time on feet and heart rate zone, is that when I can get my athletes to spend more time in zone 2 and that easier effort building endurance, they're less likely to be injured.
Yeah.
And so it might not seem like a big deal to just run a little bit faster on one day, but because they say, I gotta run 6 miles today, I'm busy, I'm gonna hammer this, I'm gonna get it done. That fatigue carries over into when you're working out every day, that
Yeah.
just really carries over, and it adds up, and it makes you more injury prone, because you're pushing those couple of days where if it's
right.
can't get 60 minutes done faster than 60 minutes, so you might as well run in the zone you're supposed to and stick better to the training plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully that answered your question. And as always, you can submit your questions to asknortharrow@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.